from the last team in to one of the last 16 teams left dancing.
What did you say?
I said the Orange is in the Sweet 16. Tonight, we're breaking down the tournament.
We're ready, locked in.
The Blue Devils and that new look zone defense.
They've copied my zone too. I don't like that.
And of course, we're talking about some Omaha steaks.
Best piece of steak I've ever had.
Don't lose your coats, because from Middle America to the Salt City, Spectrum News has got you covered.
You serious?
Matt, Spectrum News doesn't mess around when it comes to the Sweet 16.
Orange Empire, presented by NYCM Insurance.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Eric Columbia. Welcome to this special Sweet 16 pregame show. I'm Eric Columbia. What a couple of weeks it's been for the Orange Empire. Syracuse stumbling down the final stretch, losing 5 of their last 7 regular season games. But after the Orange's first ever ACC tourney win and sweating out Selection Sunday, the Cuse punched a ticket to the NCAA tournament. And we all know by now, when you get into the dance, anything is possible. Here's Kate Calloway.
Yeah, as soon as we heard our names called, I knew we were going to make a run. I knew it.
That was Ty's battle after SU shocked Michigan State to punch a ticket to the Sweet 16. We ain't done! But before the Orange Empire heard "we ain't done," they had to hold their breath. First, they'd have to play their way into the tourney against Arizona State.
Arizona State was in the top 5 in the country at one stage this year. They're a very good basketball team.
SU held the Sun Devils, who averaged 83 points per game, to just 56.
I mean, we've been doing that entire year, holding really good teams under the average, and that's we rely on our defense to win games, and that's what got us to win tonight.
2 days later, Battle's boys moved to the Motor City to tussle with Jamie Dixon and TCU.
You guys got the narrative going already up there at Syracuse, so we're not going to argue with it.
This time around, it was Mark Dolajai moving the sticker after racking up a game-high 17, and that led SU to that showdown with the Spartans. Frank Howard fouling out with 6 minutes to go, leading to backup Braden Bayer getting the nod.
When we got the 5th, everyone was like, yo, you might be going in. And then Boeheim was like, Braden, you're going in. So went straight in from there.
And straight into the Sweet 16, and how sweet it is. Even sweeter knowing what's next.
Yeah, not done. No way. We play a great Duke team, but we played them before, so we're gonna go in there, change what we do, and just get ready for it.
We're ready. That's all I got for that. We're ready.
Thanks a lot, Casey. Let's now take you out to the scene of the future crime, whether or not the Orange, the victim, or the perp. That'll be known around midnight tonight. Mark Larson standing by. He is our witness for the Sweet 16. Mark, joining us from the Blatt and Beer and Table. How's Omaha treating you, Mark?
Yeah, Omaha's treating us pretty well. We're right next door to Rosenblatt Stadium, home of the College World Series. The arena is just across the parking lot. This is the official pregame home for Syracuse University basketball fans, and they're out in full force. I know some of them made the 17.5-hour drive out here. The lucky ones got to fly, and of course they're hoping they're in for a long weekend. Syracuse and Duke, of course, matches up. Coach Boeheim and Coach Krzyzewski, the 2 winningest coaches in college basketball history. These guys have combined for 39 Sweet 16s, 17 Final Fours, and 6 national championships. It's only their second meeting in the NCAA tournament. Duke beat Syracuse in the Sweet 16 back in 1998. But these guys also have a very serious friendship. Boeheim serving with Coach K, winning 3 Olympic gold medals. Best of friends off the court, but on it, we'll see. Krzyzewski says he tries hard not to change anything, even when he's facing his best pal.
I never look at the other sideline. It's Duke against Syracuse, and he's going to go after us. We're going to go after him, and we'll be friends before and after.
A lot of wins, a lot of history in both programs, and I heard their friends and stuff like that. So that's always cool, especially when I compete against my friends. I know it's the most competitive thing to do.
Just being in that same building as those two coaches is just an honor, and we're just gonna go out there and we're just gonna play our hearts out.
Coach Boeheim and Krzyzewski are such good friends. They never wanted to schedule games against each other. They did not play each other during the regular season if they could avoid it. Well, now that both are in the ACC, that's been unavoidable. And since the Orange joined the conference back in 2013, the first 5 years of this series has turned this into another rivalry. Kind of the Dukies replacing maybe Georgetown as Syracuse's chief rival right now, and some memorable moments as well. Maybe the top moment, John Gillen's buzzer-beating bank shot that won the game against Duke at the Dome last year. Also another buzzer beater in the very first ACC meeting back in 2014 at the Dome when Rashid Suleiman hit the desperation three to force overtime. Syracuse wound up winning. Now later that season at Cameron Indoor, C.J. Fair was called for a charge near the end of the game. That set off an epic tirade by Jim Boeheim. The players in this game certainly can appreciate the intensity this game always seems to produce.
It's another big-time matchup between two very great programs, programs that have been great, way before all of us have been here, and two great coaches that are legendary coaches, really going head-to-head.
When we played them last year, it was an amazing win for us. When we went to them this year, it was packed. So I know this game's going to be a lot of fun, especially when so much is on the line and the team that wins goes home. That goes on. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think we all agree it's going to be a lot of fun. Very late tip here tonight. It's the nightcap, and the whole country's going to be watching when Syracuse and Duke get together again. Coach K, a 5-4 advantage on his best buddy Boeheim. We'll see if Coach B can even the score tonight. Eric?
All right, thanks a lot, Mark. Larson will be sticking around, joining us later in the broadcast with a special guest from Durham. And speaking of Durham, the Duke Blue Devils were not great hosts the first time these two programs met earlier this season. The initial meeting, it saw the return of Marvin Bagley III, a.k.a. the best player in the country, and Duke turning to that zone, causing all sorts of problems for the Cuse. Let's take a look. Of course, Boeheim and Coach K, longtime friends, as Mark talked about Duke now using that zone to their benefit. Marvin Bagley III returning after missing 5 games with a sprained ankle and looked healthy in this one. The alley-oop as Syracuse trying for a big play of their own. Frank Howard finding all 7'2" of Pascal Chukwu. Some evidence that Chukwu does catch the rock every once in a while. Pascal with 6 points and 12 boards in this one. On the other end, Duke just kept feeding Bagley, the freshman, 8 of 9 from the floor, 19 points. SU was down 11 at the break. Both teams struggled from behind the arc. O'Shea Brissett hitting the first 3 from both teams in this one. They both go 8 of 43 from distance, but Duke getting 19 from Bagley, 16 and 10 from Wendell Carter Jr. SU only 17 made field goals and 17 turnovers in this loss. Battle only had 12 points in the contest, 12 points in the paint for the Orange altogether in this one, and that was a big difference as Duke shot 54% from the field in the second half and had 36 points in the paint. But after a month of growth, both teams saying, don't expect the same game this time around in Omaha.
I felt like, playing them at Cameron was, kind of a, shock for a lot of guys in this team. They got a great atmosphere over there. And, they're tough to beat at home, but, it's going to be a neutral ground now.
I like facing a team that I lost to. I kind of want to get one back. I need to get one back. So, being that it's Duke, it's definitely a little bit more, especially with being a little bit more special.
We got a lot better since then. We've learned a lot since that game, and it took time for us to really get to know each other and understand where everybody's going to be on the floor, and I think it's really coming together right now.
We'll see how it comes together later on tonight. Time for a quick break here on this special Sweet 16 pregame show. We are just getting started. Stick around. We're going to talk with the SU fans who made the trip to Omaha when Orange Empire returns. Stick around.
Orange Empire, presented by NYCM Insurance.
And welcome back to Spectrum News and our special Sweet 16 pregame show. Jim Boeheim has said in a bunch, he always says fans do not win games because they don't suit up. He's right about that. But the Orange Empire definitely can influence the contest. That's why we turn to Brad Vivacqua. He's been mixing it up with the Orange Empire all week long in Omaha, Nebraska. Brad, how is Middle America treated Central New York?
Hi there, Eric. We are having a great time, and I love coming to the SU Alumni Association party, no matter what the site is, because fans come from all over the country, and that is the case right here at Blatt's, where a lot of the fans are enjoying some food, getting ready for the big game, and everybody is just in high spirits. Now, earlier today, I had the opportunity to catch up with some of that alumni that has come to Omaha from all over the country. They were picking up their tickets along with some season ticket holders. They did that at the Hotel Magnolia, right where the team was staying, and my objective was to go there and to find out where exactly fans were coming from and how they got to Omaha. So I found out that the majority of fans did fly in. Many of them got here last night, some of them this morning, and they tell me they're optimistic and they're excited about the game tonight, and they like SU's chances.
Well, I've known Coach Boeheim since I've been a freshman in college, and have the highest regard for him, what he does for the program, what he does for the community. I'm just here to support him and support the team and support the school.
The players always thought they could win every game they were in, and at the end of the season they proved it. They felt that they deserved to be in the tournament, and obviously they've proved it because they've won 3 games and 3 games and counting.
And that's the one thing about Syracuse fans. Everybody believes that this team can do anything because of the run that they've put together in the last 3 games. And of course, we have been talking to fans all over the country, but one cool fan I talked to from Baldwinsville, he says he's been driving from Dayton to Detroit, made his way to Omaha, and he's been stopping to see family in between. He's been just making it a 2 or 3 week trip, and now he's looking forward to maybe going to San Antonio after this weekend, but we'll see what happens. As you mentioned, Eric, we've been here since Wednesday night. When we first got here, we wanted to find the team right away, and we knew what hotel they were staying, so we made our way to the Hotel Magnolia, and there was no team right away because we found out that they were enjoying some steaks at one of the premier steakhouses here in town called Sullivan's. And we, of course, talked to some of the players about their trip to that steakhouse, and here's what they had to say about those famous Omaha steaks.
Well, I had the bone-in steak with lobster tail on the side, so we ate pretty good last night, and it was good. It was one of the best steaks I've had in a while.
One of the best, not the best?
Might be the best. Might be the best.
Best steak I've ever had. Best piece of steak I've ever had.
No doubt.
No doubt. Not even close. Not even close. You could cut into it with your fork. You didn't even have to have a knife. You could just slide down right with the fork.
And everybody on that team loves their trip to the steakhouse, of course. That steak you can't find anywhere else like you can find it here in Omaha. And fans are just having a great time out here, Eric, and we're looking forward to the game tonight. Back to you.
I love how serious Matt Moyer is when he's talking about his steaks. He doesn't play no games. Neither does the Orange Empire. Now, last week in Detroit, a virtual road game for the Cuse against Sparty. But what is it looking like for tonight's contest against Duke? What's the split?
That's a great question, Eric. You know, the thing is obviously there's not going to be a ton of Syracuse fans. We know the SU allotment was only 1,000. But the thing is, there's a game before SU, and that's Clemson and Kansas. So we're hoping Clemson fans will stick around and maybe root for Syracuse because, you know, everybody likes the underdog. So we'll have to see. We know Kansas fans, just from talking to them, they remember 2003 quite well. So they're not big on Syracuse, but we're hoping that maybe some of the fans that are kind of neutral decide to root for Syracuse because, of course, they are certainly the underdog in tonight's game. Eric?
All right, thanks, Brad. Good work from you, as always. Now, the last time Syracuse was this far in the NCAA tournament, SU Athletics was in the hands of former AD Mark Coyle. But less than a year on the Hill was enough for Coyle, but SU didn't waste much time finding his replacement. In stepped alum John Wildhack as the new AD. Mark Larson caught up with Wildhack earlier in the week in Omaha to talk everything from hoops to football and everything Orange Empire.
I'm joined by Syracuse Athletic Director John Wildhack. John, here we are, Omaha, Nebraska, just like we always knew was going to happen.
all along, Mark. We knew it all along. But it's been a great week and a half for the program, and it started with Selection Sunday. And, obviously we were, the proverbial bubble team, last team in. And, when Davidson won their tournament, we thought that might be our slot. Ultimately, it knocked Notre Dame out of the tournament. But then to go beat Arizona State, to go beat TCU, and Jamie Dixon, who's been a long-time nemesis of ours. And then really a road game against Michigan State and to win that. So I'm really proud of the team, of the coaching staff, the job that they've done. This team has a really great culture and chemistry about it.
Yeah, really been fun kids to interview too afterwards. And when a team does something like this, when the basketball team does go on a run like this, what does it do for the whole athletic department?
It's a point of pride for everybody. I mean, it's been a really happy place the last 10 days in terms of our success of the basketball program. But it's, listen, it certainly helps, and it just, it gets the fans engaged. It gets fans engaged from, whether it's a merchandise perspective, et cetera, that type of thing. There's a buzz, there's good energy about the program. That carries over the department. It's also great for the basketball program in terms of, obviously, we're on the national stage, recruiting, et cetera, that type of thing. So similar to what it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Nationally, I know a lot of bracket people are not happy with Syracuse, but here they are. You've been here back at your alma mater for about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
You've been able to work closely with Jim Boeheim, Hall of Famer, get to know him a little bit better. What's that been like for you?
Well, I've enjoyed it, and I knew Jim before I came here, but to be able to work with him, it's been, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed getting to know him and that type of relationship, and I've always had immense respect for Jim and his coaching acumen, and that's only grown since I've been here. And the job that he and his staff have done with this team is really, it's a remarkable job.
Yeah.
And they deserve a tremendous amount of credit, and obviously that starts at the top with Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's switch gears to football now. Obviously, football drives the bus, as they say.
Right.
Dino Babers about halfway through spring drills. What are your expectations and kind of hopes for season number 3?
I think you always want to get better, and I think we did get better last year. While the record didn't reflect it, clearly we were more competitive. I think we've got another year of experience. We've got kids who needed to get bigger in the off season. They did get bigger in the off season. We had a good recruiting year this year. The kids we redshirted last year have had a year to develop in the program. I think that'll help us with depth. And the one thing that I've really learned quickly in ACC football is you need quality depth. Because you're going to have to use it, over the course of the season. So, I'm excited, I'm optimistic, and I continue, to have great faith in Coach Babers and his staff to really build that foundation, and that's what he and I have talked about since day one that I arrived, is build a foundation that can have sustained success, and that's what we're trying to do, and we're doing it in the most competitive conference in the country.
Yeah, it would seem that he's on his way to that. I have to ask you about the Dome. Everybody
Sure.
wants to know what's the kind of the progress level of the renovations to the Dome.
Yeah, I think the objective, and the Chancellor stated it back in January in his winter message to the campus community, is we'd like to have a decision on what are we going to do with the roof, what type of roof we're going to put on the Dome, either sometime late spring, early summer. So that's really what our focus is, and then once that decision is made, then we can pivot off of that.
All right, I'm going to just suggest a zipper, just to unzip the Teflon. That's my suggestion. Last thing,
I wish it was that easy, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Last thing, you went out and got some steak last night, a place called Sullivan's, very famous around here. Give me your assessment. Is that someplace we maybe should try out?
It really good. So I'm not a big foodie. My wife's the foodie in the family.
Okay.
She loved it. So that's the seal of approval.
Seal of approval.
So when in Omaha, hit Sullivan's.
Yeah, very good. John, nice to
Mark,
see you again.
thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank
you.
Us. Enjoy yourself.
My pleasure.
All right. Back to you, Eric.
Leave it to Mark to always sneak in the food question at the end. We are in the home stretch, but stick around. Mark Larson rejoining us from Omaha, Nebraska, with a look at the Orange and a look at the enemy, a perspective from Duke when we return.
Orange Empire, presented by NYCM Insurance.
And welcome back. Time to head back out to Middle America. Mark Larson is standing by, and he has a visitor. Some may call him the enemy. I don't know if Eddie Hughes is going to like that. He's from our sister station down in North Carolina. Guys, welcome back.
Hey, like they say, Eric, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. We're keeping Eddie Hughes closer. Eddie, thanks for being here with us.
No problem. It's a pleasure.
We're trying to get your Duke insight. This guy grew up on Tobacco Road. He's been watching Duke basketball for a long time. Tell me about this Duke team right now and how they're playing coming in.
They're playing great right now, honestly. The funny thing about it is they're talking about this is the best they've played all season. And you may ask, a team that averaged 84 points per game, and did what they did this year, now they're playing the best, but it's all because of point guard Trevon Duval. He's averaging 15 points per game, 7 assists in the first 2 games of the tournament when he was averaging 10.2 during the season and only 5 assists. And it was an up and down year for him. So he's getting the ball, passing the ball around, and the Blue Devils lead the field with 22 assists per game. So everybody's touching the ball, and they are scoring at a high clip at 88 points per game.
Those numbers do not sound good to Syracuse fans. Now, Syracuse happy with their zone defense, though. They feel like they play the zone very well, and especially right now, they're holding teams to 53 in the tournament. I don't know what they can do against Duke, but Duke is playing a zone now, but they haven't done it all year.
Right, they haven't done it all year. They started February 11th against Georgia Tech. In 11 games, they're 9-2, holding teams to 64 points per game. Okay. So they have really stepped up. They talked about how much better communicating they are in the zone versus man-to-man. So that's why they think they're playing better and getting their hands out there, getting steals, forcing turnovers. They're playing well right now with that zone, the matchup of the zones.
Yeah, the zones. And, Syracuse is talking about its length, but you got 6'11", Bagley, a 6'10", Wendell Carter. Pretty good length on the Duke side, too, Eric. So it'll be a tough task for sure for Syracuse, but we've seen them do it before.
All right, so it's time to get down the brass tacks. Put all the cards on the table, guys. Who's moving on to the Elite Eight?
All right, we're going to let you go first with that prediction.
My prediction, of course, is Duke, Mark.
That's easy.
They're playing so well right now, scoring the ball at a high clip.
And the score is?
The score, 75-63.
All right. Not many people out there are going to like this in Syracuse, but I'm going to have to go with Duke, too. I don't know how Syracuse got here. If they can get past this, then they call me dumb. But I'm going to say Duke 77-60. I think this one might get away. Eric, your turn.
Mark's the brave man, but in my bracket, I had Syracuse making the Sweet 16, falling to Duke. I do think the key stat, if they can get to the free throw line 30 times, they could win. I don't think that happens. Duke is moving on. Eddie, thanks. Mark, great job as always. We'll hear from you later on tonight in our post-game show. That's going to do it for this special Sweet 16 pregame show on Spectrum News. For Mark Larson, Brad Vivacqua, Kate Calloway, Eddie Hughes, I'm Eric Columbia. See you then.